Hi everyone, and today's Side Notes will be covering an event hosted by a dear friend, Shweta Wahi. This is a little party for women empowerment in which the documentary Missrepresentation will be watched and discussed.
Make a new start with the fire inside of her. She had to go. She couldn't stay around everybody.
Documentary. I think what was surprising to me was that when I started watching the movie with the sort of notion in my head that, oh, it's going to be these other girls that aren't like me, but then when you start watching it, you realize that you sort of think the way those girls do at some points in your life. I never really thought that I think like those girls. I'm like, oh, I'm not affected by the media, I'm not affected by that, I'm different, but it turns out you really aren't. Like, you think sort of how those girls do as well.
Yeah, you realize the media does control a lot, and it makes you think about your body image, and that you won't think of your body image like, ooh, I need smaller this or bigger this, I need to look like this person.
The statistics were just shocking.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, even you're told when you're growing up that, you can be whatever you want to be, but then you're faced with this fact that it's a joke, it's a lie. The amount of men in power versus the amount of women is just so disproportionate. It's hard to believe, like, with what you're being fed, that women are equal. Just kidding, they're not.
This Christmas, my dad and me had that conversation, because like growing up, I wanted to be a politician, and then this Christmas he's like, no, let's have some more realistic goals. Let's talk about what you can actually do.
You're gonna have to have kids at that
Yeah,
right?
like,
I was like, oh, because when I was a kid, me and my best friend, we had this little agreement. It was like in grade 2. She was like from India and I was from Pakistan. I'm like, I'm gonna be the president of Pakistan. She's like, I'm gonna be president of India, and we're gonna be best friends and make our countries, great. And you sort of believe that, and I was like, yeah, I can go into this. But then that dream just started sort of dying. I don't know at what point it sort of did, but it just, I don't know, you just think it's just stupid, and then your parents are like, oh, well, you're like a brown girl, in our culture, that's not what we do. We're gonna get like married, have kids, and then you're not gonna really like have a job for ages, are you? It's just something you do until you have kids, and then maybe after when the kids have gone to school or something, like 10 years later, okay, you can do something small.
yeah, you can now be the president of the Women's Society of your community.
The PTA.
It's funny how your views change from being a child to nowadays, I guess. Like, when I was younger, my mom was a doctor, or she still is a doctor, but when I went to visit our neighbor's house, it was his dad that was the doctor and the mom that was the nurse, the more traditional roles, but I would call the mom doctor, and just because that's what I grew up, that's what I'm used to, and now you know that that's not normally the case.
You know what else is funny is that when I was a kid, I remember when I was like in grade 5 or 6, like I was just the biggest tomboy. I was overweight, and like I still have glasses, but hairy glasses, and I had the most confidence at that point. Though I didn't care. I dressed like a boy. I ran around playing football in the house all day. I played the guitar, and I wasn't like a girl at all. But that's when I had the most confidence. And then I think grade 8 or 9 hit, and I saw the way other girls were dressing, and then my confidence just sort of plummeted from there, and I started changing myself, and I don't know, just wasn't so outspoken about all those things I used to like love before.
Yeah, I think when I'm heavier is when I'm less confident. Like when I moved away to university, like going back for the first Christmas, I was fat, which was like 10 pounds more, and it was like not even a size more. It was like a size 0, not a 00 or something. And I was like, oh, you've gotten so fast, and I was just like, I need to lose weight.
Yeah, that sort of occupies your...
Yeah. And it doesn't even matter.
Still sort of happy, yeah. I'm still sort of doing it. I have my friend's wedding in December. I'm like the maid of honor. I'm like, I have to lose like a couple of kilos before then, and it's like my little goal till then. So I'm still doing it right now. But
well, my thing now is just to be fit. It's like, okay, you
yeah,
can go for
healthy.
a jog and not
be healthy.
be else's bread, that's it. You don't need to be a number on a scale or a size on it.
That's probably what girls need to be taught, that you should, be healthy and try to be fit and feel strong instead of starving yourself and then getting weak and losing weight. Yeah.
I used to be an athlete with like a six-pack growing up, and it was just like, oh, you're not pretty, you're not a sexy girl because you just have all these muscles. But then, like, now I'm
But you
more
have
on
more confidence,
the
right? When you felt stronger.
Yeah, but now I'm more on the softer side, and ooh, you're a bit more secure now because you have more curves.
You're more feminine.
Yeah.
You're meant to be all like soft
And fragile.
Yeah.
And no.
dainty.
We're not trying at all.
Yeah.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
Confident in yourself. I know it is hard, and that's rich coming from someone who's not fully there yet themselves, but yeah, just be okay with who you are and focus on being healthy and feeling strong.
Find a support network, you know, if you're
Yeah.
together, like even this evening we had where we were able to talk together as a bunch of women, realizing that there is a problem, that there is sort of a sickness in the media. That's when change can happen, when the ideas start flowing, and go with it. Don't just think, actually act.
Say that one must know who they are and what they are, and put themselves to full capacity and full efficiency to do what they can do and how they can change the world, versus being focused on all the superficial aspects of life.
I thought it was really inspiring, very truthful. It was a lot of what probably most of the women who are watching it always think, but never say, because they probably feel like no one will listen or people will make fun of them. So there's a lot of stuff that I think needed to be said, but I feel like nothing will be done unless, like, I don't know how many women could have watched this movie or this documentary and been like, yeah, I agree, and then go home and do nothing about it. And I think that one quote, like, there's a whole new meaning to be the change you want to see in the world. So it has to start with every girl and guy. I think a lot of guys should have been watching it too. I don't know how many were. But it starts with you, and you have to pass it on and make sure that you actually do something with all the opportunity we have.
I was actually shocked because the statistics were incredibly upsetting to me. I didn't realize that even now in society women were being insulted and just put down by men, and it's so evident, and the fact that we just let it go is really shocking and upsetting. I consider myself some sort of a powerful woman. I have a lot of self-confidence, but I haven't really done anything to change it either. I just, I work in media, and so I perpetuate these own stereotypes that I'm now disgusted by. So I think the way of the future is for women to really take a stand and do something, and especially women my age or in the youth, to actually come up with some sort of referendum and speak out, because it's not going to get any better if we don't do anything. And if more videos should come out like this, and I think more amateur videos even, to show how women in the workplace or women in school still feel that they're outnumbered by men or not given the opportunities that they so rightfully deserve. It's shocking, it's despicable, and something does need to change. So that's all I can say, that I want to see the change.
Okay, so this documentary was definitely very powerful for me. I still don't really know how I feel about it, but a lot of things came to mind. One really striking memory. A couple of months ago, early this year, I was in Ottawa showcasing my line, and my models were 13 to 15, and they were young and beautiful, and they refused to eat. They would eat like a cherry tomato for lunch, and I asked them why, and they were like, oh, I'm too fat, I need to make sure I get into fashion week. So that really disturbed me, because these girls are so young and they're already conscious of the way they look. And another thing that really bothered me was the fact that yes, okay, the media has a serious effect on the way we behave today, but what about the kids of today? I mean, what about the little boys who are being told that women need to look a certain way, and the little girls who are being told that, they're not good enough? And what I feel is gonna happen is that the boys are gonna constantly never be happy and go out looking for women, hoping to find, a photoshopped model, but that's not what they're gonna get. And a girl is going to, go through a bunch of self-esteem issues because she wants to look like that photoshopped model, but she's not going to be able to do that. And it's going to lead into this vicious cycle, which is already what it is today. I think this was a good starting point, but what is really important is that we do something about it. Just talking about it isn't really the solution. We need to actually go out there and do something about it. So
That's a great end to a pretty good event. Thank you, Shweta Wahi, for having this lovely little get-together, and it brought to my attention a lot of things. The documentary was pretty effective in terms of the fact that they made it very clear that they want women in leadership and in leadership roles. But I certainly have a couple of points to mention as such, that I feel that it didn't focus much on the fact that women should do something about it. Yes, there should be something done about it, but you can't just blame the media. I feel that women themselves need to like themselves, and this needs to happen while you are at a much younger age, because as seen in the documentary, grade 9 girls are so much affected by their weight and the way they're supposed to look and they're supposed to be. So certainly I would say that be confident in yourself, no matter how you are, no matter what you look like, no matter what people say, because people will always have something to complain about. People will always say that there's something wrong with you, but the matter of fact is we're people and we're not perfect, and that's what makes us human beings, and definitely keep that in mind. The other point I have is, one thing I noticed about the video and the documentary was that, was that they had ads in the middle a little too often. But either ways, the ads themselves I felt did not help the documentary, because some were provocative, and they were very family related, kids related. There was only one absolute ad that was related to men, and that too because at the end of the documentary there was spoken a little bit about, you know, how men are affected by the media as well. So however, I feel that even though it's a good attempt of trying to get women to empower themselves, I feel that it failed in a certain way only because the underlining messages did not really add up to the documentary, such as the ads and a couple of the things, because it only spoke about the logistics and not really about what women should do to get over this problem and how they should solve it. So that's what I think about the documentary. Stay tuned. We have a lot more stuff coming out.